Around 70 million years ago, in the late Cretaceous period, Asia was teeming with an incredible diversity of dinosaurs. Many of these species had counterparts in North America. And yes, there was even a version of the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex roaming these ancient lands, a Tyrannosaurus of their own. Back then, it had no name, but today, we know this terrifying dinosaur as Tarbosaurus. This ferocious theropod was discovered in the vast Gobi Desert by a Soviet excavation team. They accidentally stumbled upon a massive skull and vertebrae. The skull was strikingly similar to that of a T-Rex, leading the Soviets to believe they'd found their very own Tyrannosaurus, which they named Tyrannosaurus Batar, with Batar meaning hero. But there was more to the discovery. It also included 3 other theropods of various sizes, leading to the classification of 2 new species under the genus Gorgosaurus, while the largest skeleton was assigned to an entirely new genus, Tarbosaurus, meaning alarming lizard. That genus, of course, was Tarbosaurus, which was later confirmed to be distinct from Tyrannosaurus and Gorgosaurus. But Tarbosaurus undeniably belonged to the Tyrannosaur family, sharing many features with its cousins. The characteristic S-shaped neck, relatively small arms, and fused nasal bones. Among its relatives, Tarbosaurus most closely resembled its American counterpart, Tyrannosaurus rex. The body proportions and skull structure were nearly identical, right down to the formidable jaws and teeth. Still, there were differences. T-Rex had a broader skull and a more robust body, as well as slightly larger arms. Tarbosaurus, in fact, had the smallest arms of any known tyrannosaur, considering its body size. Despite these differences, the two were extremely similar, and paleontologists today consider Tyrannosaurus and Tarbosaurus to be sister taxa, meaning they were each other's closest relatives in the Tyrannosauridae family. This group of sister taxa is called Tyrannosaurini, and also includes a third member, Zhuchengtyrannus, the smallest and oldest of the 3, which lived alongside Tarbosaurus in Asia. Due to their close relationship, there was once a theory that Tarbosaurus had evolved into T-Rex, with some individuals potentially crossing the Bering Land Bridge when it was still connected. However, this theory has now been largely dismissed, as older tyrannosaurs have since been found in North America, such as Daspletosaurus, which may have given rise to T-Rex. Moreover, recent research suggests that an even older tyrannosaur, known as Micraensis, existed before Tarbosaurus, casting doubt on whether it could have been the ancestor of T-Rex. Even though research eventually found that Tarbosaurus was simply a sister taxon, in many ways its legacy has been overshadowed by the famous T-Rex, which became the largest member of their branch. Still, Tarbosaurus was the second largest tyrannosaur known to science. An adult Tarbosaurus was enormous, averaging 33 feet, 10 meters, in length and standing 10 feet, 3 meters, tall at the hips. Weighing in at over 5 tons, it was one of the heaviest theropods ever to walk the earth, rivaling giants like Suchomimus and Therizinosaurus. Imagine that. You'd need about 5 average giraffes to match the mass of just one Tarbosaurus. And those who think the nightmares end there are mistaken. Fossils of a gigantic Tarbosaurus skull, measuring 4.4 feet, 1.35 meters, suggest that one individual reached a length of 39 feet, 12 meters, from snout to tail, making it as long as the largest T-Rex specimens, though it was still slightly shorter in height and lighter in weight. Yet being a bit smaller than T-Rex didn't hinder Tarbosaurus at all. In its home territory, it was the undisputed apex predator, thanks to its massive jaws and powerful bite. Just like other tyrannosaurs, Tarbosaurus had a huge, heavy skull, enveloped in powerful muscles, with large openings, fenestrae, to help anchor these muscles. Its bite force was estimated to be around 10,000 pounds per square inch, making it stronger than even larger theropods like Giganotosaurus, and easily outmatching any living animal today. For any herbivore sharing the same ecosystem, this was truly dreadful news. Tarbosaurus was anything but toothless. With between 58 and 64 serrated teeth, it wielded a deadly weapon, teeth even more saw-like than those of T-Rex. These deadly jaws made Tarbosaurus a mobile hydraulic press, easily tearing apart meat and bone, delivering massive bites that led to quick blood loss and fatal shock. With that kind of terrifying power, Tarbosaurus became the executioner of giants. Isotopic analysis indicates that it favored hunting hadrosaurs, ankylosaurs, and even titanosaurs, some of which, like Saurolophus and Nemegtosaurus, were bigger than it was. Fossil evidence backs this up, showing clear bite marks matching the fearsome jaws of Tarbosaurus on all these prey species. Even other giant theropods weren't safe, but I'm not talking about other Tarbosaurus. I'm talking about the cumbersome Dinosaurs. This massive ornithomimosaur weighed between 6 and 7 tons, even more than Tarbosaurus. But as one unlucky specimen showed, size is not always an effective defense. Fossils revealed puncture marks and slashes all over its body, enough to disembowel the animal. The attack was so chaotic that paleontologists struggled for some time to figure out why the carcass was so scattered and damaged. Another theropod that could have ended up as prey was the Therizinosaurus. Therizinosaurus was smaller, though still quite large at 5 tons, with the longest claws of any known animal, extinct or alive. As of now, no fossils of this species show evidence of Tarbosaurus attacks, but it's possible this could change with future discoveries. It's no doubt, though, that Tarbosaurus specialized in hunting giants, and some researchers believe that its rigid skull and jaws were adaptations for tackling the largest animals to have ever walked the land, the titanosaurs. The structure of its skull was incredibly rigid, particularly its lower jaw, which was far sturdier and less flexible than those of other tyrannosaurs. This rigidity likely played a major role in hunting sauropods, allowing Tarbosaurus to maintain a firm grip during attacks, and creating a unique locking mechanism seen only in this species, essentially ensuring its prey couldn't escape. And when it came to speed, escape wasn't much of an option either. Preliminary studies estimate that Tarbosaurus could reach a top speed of 25 mph, 40 km/h, comparable to an African forest elephant. While that speed might not sound particularly impressive, it was more than enough to outrun large sauropods and hadrosaurs, which were much bulkier and slower. Tarbosaurus was undeniably a master predator, sometimes a bit chaotic, but also extremely precise. Fossil evidence of bite marks around certain bones suggests that Tarbosaurus was also an opportunistic scavenger, capable of stripping flesh off carcasses with great dexterity. And that wasn't all. This tyrannosaur had a range of finely tuned senses that helped it survive, one of which was its keen sense of smell. Tarbosaurus had an exceptional sense of smell, indicated by a brain cast that revealed enlarged olfactory bulbs and nerves, features only found in animals with acute olfactory abilities. This helped Tarbosaurus track live prey, detect the scent of carcasses, and possibly even find potential mates. It's hypothesized that its excellent smell might also have been tied to complex mating behaviors, given the presence of a large Jacobson's organ in its olfactory system, which is used to detect pheromones. Given its size, Tarbosaurus could easily detect pheromones, making it easier to find potential mates. This strong sense of smell played a crucial role in its life, likely more important than its vision. In fact, parts of its brain responsible for vision were underdeveloped, suggesting it wasn't particularly reliant on sight. Moreover, unlike North American tyrannosaurs, the Asian species had narrower skulls, with eyes primarily positioned to the sides, meaning Tarbosaurus lacked stereoscopic vision. But what it lacked in vision, it made up for in hearing. Just like its olfactory system, Tarbosaurus had very large auditory nerves, indicating that it had a good sense of hearing, key for locating prey. Good hearing also meant its balance and coordination were above average, crucial features when dealing with larger, stronger dinosaurs, where battles often came down to intense pushing and shoving. During these struggles, Tarbosaurus had yet another trick up its sleeve: its scaly skin. Strangely enough, paleontologists learned about Tarbosaurus's skin through fossilized impressions, which showed that parts of its body were covered in scales, providing some level of protection. So far, footprints and a piece of chest have confirmed that both its feet and chest had scales. It's unclear if the entire body was covered, but other Tyrannosauridae indicate that scales likely appeared across much of its body. In Tarbosaurus's case, these scales varied in size, with the largest measuring about 0.8 inches, 2 centimeters wide, about the size of a small coin. These scales didn't overlap in life and served to prevent surface wounds, like scratches and cuts, that could lead to infection. This is likely evidenced by the fact that there is little record of Tarbosaurus with infected wounds, the only known injury being a broken hand from a scuffle with prey. Once again, this showed that Tarbosaurus was no lazy scavenger, but an active predator ruling its ecosystem. And what an expansive domain it had. Fossils of Tarbosaurus have been found throughout the Gobi Desert and eastern China. Among all its habitats, the Nemegt Formation is the most well-studied and was the central hub for Tarbosaurus. Today, this region is an arid desert, but during Tarbosaurus's heyday, it was more like an oasis, a warm, wet climate crisscrossed by major rivers, shallow lakes, and mudflats, providing life to vast marshlands and pine forests. This lush environment allowed for a thriving population of various dinosaurs, including those already mentioned, and others such as Tarchia, Barsboldia, Homalocephalae, Prenocephalae, Opisthocoelicaudia, Mononychus, Adasaurus, Gallimimus, Anserinmimus, Avimimus, Conchoraptor, Gobiraptor, Oxoco, Nemegtomia, Zanabazar, and Borogovia. Interestingly, there were also many other tyrannosaurids in the area, such as Bagaraeatan, Raptorex, and Alioramus. Luckily for Tarbosaurus, none of these theropods posed a significant threat, as all were considerably smaller, with Alioramus being the closest rival, weighing in at about 1 ton. However, these smaller theropods could have been threats to younger Tarbosaurus individuals, targeting smaller prey during their juvenile stages, which created competition. What the adults had to fear most, though, was the environment itself. While its homeland was lush for much of the year, sediment layers reveal a dark secret: drought. Occasionally, similar to what is documented in the famous Morrison Formation, these ancient lands experienced droughts that dried up water sources and created towering sand dunes. During such times, the loss of life was inevitable, pushing Tarbosaurus's senses to their absolute limits. The battles and competition likely intensified during these droughts, with only the strongest surviving. However, at some point, even the largest and mightiest Tarbosaurus could not endure. Fossils of Tarbosaurus are only known from the Maastrichtian age, roughly 70 million years ago. No one knows exactly what led to the demise of this infamous dinosaur. Some speculate that it evolved into a new tyrannosaur species, while others suggest that climate change ultimately drove it to extinction. Thank you all for joining me on this thrilling journey back in time to the Age of Giants. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more incredible stories of prehistoric creatures, please hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future adventures. Your support helps us keep exploring these fascinating worlds, and we couldn't do it without you. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.